I can't stop thinking about boomers saying how video games are violent, and then I see shit like this. Hey Genius! The world's largest gaming event, Gamescom, is being held this week, and for us not interested in jumping into a crowd of nearly 400,000 people, we just have to tune in to all the streams this coming Monday to be part of the fun. All the major publishers are trying to slide into a chunk of time before the show starts this Monday in the hopes of tapping into the hype, and you're welcome to join me this Monday as I attempt to stream them all. First up, Nintendo is hosting Nintendo Indie World at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, showcasing new indie games for the Switch. The showcase will be roughly about 20 minutes in length. After that, enjoy a hearty morning breakfast before tuning into the Inside Xbox Showcase at 11 a.m. The showcase is said to reveal new trailers for many already announced games, new accessories, and a look at the new Horde mode in Gears 5. And then following that, we have Stadia Connect live stream, which is set to focus more about its game library and features. The real test people will be tuning in for, however, is to see if the YouTube stream will have any delays or buffering, because let's face it, if they can't even do that, how are they going to be streaming games? And lastly, we'll have the Everybody Look at Me show hosted by Geoff Keighley right after at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This show is set to showcase many world premieres and should be where we'll see the most surprises for the week. One surprise has already been confirmed, in which the first gameplay trailer for Predator Hunting Ground will be unveiled. Now, I bet you this will be the E3 do-over where all the companies finally just show gameplay trailers to all the cinematic reveals we saw 2 months ago. So technically it should be way better than E3. Anthem's lead producer Ben Irving announced he's leaving BioWare for a new company. In his farewell tweet, he said that Anthem has a bright future ahead of it, which, coincidentally, the same could have been said about Chernobyl, and it would still be true. And now, switching to our Nintendo news. I doubt I will ever get tired of that. Thanks to a new FCC filing, many are speculating Super Nintendo games could be coming to the Switch Online service soon. The filing showcases a modern wireless SNES remote. Interestingly, the filing has a short-term confidentiality clause which expires on February 6, 2020, suggesting we'll see this controller unveiled sometime before then. Now, when the Switch Online first announced its NES library, a modern NES controller was announced, which strongly suggests the Super Nintendo library could easily be coming to the Switch for the holiday season. In not so good news, Nintendo started sending out copyright claims blocking YouTube videos that were Nintendo game soundtracks. This is a bit of a strange news since earlier this year, Nintendo seemed to ease off on copyrights, allowing YouTube creators to use games and music in their videos. So far, it seems like the new claims are only targeting channels that made the Nintendo soundtracks available for anyone who just want to listen to some music. Many are throwing shade on Nintendo for this practice, but my take on this is they might be getting ready to launch a Nintendo music library on platforms like Spotify. This is something we saw Square Enix do just a few months ago with their Final Fantasy library. However, I do tend to be an optimist, and having any Nintendo song playable on a digital music service sounds way too good to be true, let's be honest. WayForward announced a new Switch exclusive game titled Vitamin Connection, which they describe as a unique cooperative bacteria blasting experience. Now, I don't know if it's an early sign of addiction, but seeing this only makes me think of Dr. Mario World and how much I really want to be playing that right now instead of sitting right here. And now another Switch exclusive was announced and then unannounced as digital partners shared a press release for a reboot of Cooking Mama set to release this fall, and then pulled that press release. The reboot is said to include a vegetarian-only mode for those who wish to not cook meat even in the digital world. For anyone unfamiliar with the game, it plays as a set of cooking mini-games where succeeding rewards you with the mother's love you may have never experienced. Failing the challenge, however, will unleash the inner demon living in all mothers as she reminds you just how much of a failure you are to a parent, even in the gaming world. It's pretty harsh stuff. The Pokemon Company announced its new online mode for Sword and Shield, which will really flesh out the competitive scene for the game. The online mode will only be accessible to players with a Switch Online service and can be played in ranked seasons or casual. In ranked, there's 5 tiers to play through, where upon reaching the top rank, you can boast to all your friends that you are now the Master Ball tier, which, I don't know, it doesn't sound quite as cool as a Grandmaster tier. Lastly, in Nintendo news, a Smash Bros. Tournament in South Australia has decided to ban the new hero character because the character's attacks are too random. The base has been split on this decision, with some in favor of the ban encouraging more tournaments to do so, while the other half offered a well-thought-out counter-argument, which I quote, "Get good." Now, in my opinion, if the character has a random chance of dealing a massive amount of damage in play, then he also has a random chance of dealing shit in play. So it goes both ways. Ultimately, a competitive player choosing hero would be resting their fortunes on more luck than I'd imagine any competitive player would feel comfortable with. And that's not all that's being banned in Australia, as the survival game DayZ has also been banned due to its depiction of weed. The weird thing is, the weed items were never actually in-game, but only in the game files. Data mining shows that the weed items would have let players heal themselves, but it was never made live. Stranger yet, the game was released 5 years ago digitally and only became an issue when the physical release was about to happen. Now, as someone living in a country where weed is legal, it baffles me to see a country so terrified of a little happy plant. If you want to ban something, Australia, how about banning your killer spiders or your killer snakes, or worse, your killer spider snakes? Now, you know, if something like that existed, it would live in Australia. While companies like Nintendo and Xbox are busy announcing new games and features, PlayStation is over here announcing something new like colored controllers. The new colors come in sexy pink, a grimace purple, I'm choking blue, and look out, I'm a badass red camo. The controllers will be available in November and will be selling for $100 a piece, and that's in US dollars. Remember that announcement from 2 years ago for the Minecraft Super Duper graphics pack? It was built to highlight the power and potential of the Xbox Scorpio, now known as the Xbox One X, which would have added a ton of improved textures and lighting effect. You remember how they were boasting all those teraflops and stuff and how the Xbox One X was the most powerful console ever? Well, turns out the Minecraft Super Duper pack has been canceled because it was too technically demanding. Good job. So I discovered the official Epic Games Store roadmap for new development, and I was shocked to learn that they're using Trello, a free online web service many startup teams use to keep track of projects, and that's Epic Games' official source for information. I mean, hey, it works. I just would have expected something a little flashier from a multi-million-dollar company. This is practically just one step up from Notepad. Anyways, that aside, some new features were rolled out to the controversial store, including cloud save support for a bunch of games. Also, any new game going forward will now support cloud saves at launch. They also added an optional Humble Bundle integration, so when you buy your games through Humble Bundle, they instantly show up in your Epic account. That's only if you wanted to, because of course some of us want to keep the code and give it to our friends and stuff. So it's a nice feature to have. You don't have to copy and paste all those game codes anymore if you just want to keep them for yourself. They've also done some good general UI improvements. And while we're on the topic of Epic, there's also some new free games up for grabs until August 22nd, including the 2D action RPG Hyper Light Drifter and the turn-based tactical game Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. Also this week, Square Enix is launching its new action RPG game Oninaki. And did you know, in Japanese it's called Oni no Nakukuni, which translates to Country Where the Ogre Cries. That sounds both sad and beautiful. Like, is he crying because of a broken heart? Or because he's lonely? Or because he stumped his little toe on a rock? Because that shit hurts. Honestly, this game has flown under my radar up until now, and it looks like a really beautiful and fun game, so I'll have to try that out. And finally, if you're into crustaceans, you'll be happy to learn that the game Fighting Crab is now available for early access on itch.io. The game features 19 species of crab to play as and 41 weapons to fight with. But me describing it doesn't really do it justice. Just check out a clip of this game set to some kind of anime opening theme song.
Can you imagine so bravo? To watch the Spanish man. No more quite show you that dream comes true.
Seafood lovers beware of the next crab you eat. You never know. And that's it for this week's show. I'll see you all next week, and until then, keep it classy. Thanks everyone for joining me on the 30th episode of Hey J News. And I'm bringing back by popular demand, specifically by Hey J community member Tim Drake, my reaction to comments on the Hey J channel. So, specifically, comments on Hey J News. Last week we have Kiwi Sachiko, who has dropped 5 laughing, crying faces. I don't know if you're crying from laughter, from pain, and why 5 and not 6? Were there only 5 good jokes? Next we have Albert Menendez dropping a ton of comments. Bandai Namco needs to include a crossover character like Snake to draw attention to Tekken 7. Honestly, that is the first time I paid attention to Tekken 7 in quite a while, so you are correct. Jeff loves Kojima's Zone of Rear Enders. Oh my, that's a better joke than I could have come up with. And finally, Albert says, "Hey Jay," to which I say, "Hey Albert." I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining me in the end credits.